Hello, hello. I hope all is well, everyone. Bear with me as I get things going in here. All right. I hope all is well, y'all. For some reason, let me pull my stuff out. For some reason, it's not letting me go live here. We'll see. It should, for some reason, wasn't letting me go live on my saved video. So, hopefully it gets going on this side. Will it let me? It's not letting me. Hi, how are you? For some reason, it wasn't letting me go live with my saved video because I had scheduled a video. For some reason, like, it wouldn't let me go live on that video. So I'm wondering if I maybe just need to start switching it to my phone. I mean, switching from my phone to my laptop because it wasn't letting me do it on my phone, which is weird. But we're here. I'm excited. Definitely drop me in the comments where you're watching from. Don't mind my tired eyes and hair. It's just been a day. Maybe maybe that's what it is. For some reason, it wasn't working on that end, so I had to do it on my phone. But no worries. Definitely make sure to like the video, and then make sure to drop in the comments, where you're from, where you're watching from, how you're doing today. And I have several affirmations for us to go through tonight. So I'm excited to talk through them. The other lives went great. Everybody was really receptive to today's affirmations. They were very helpful. So I hope these are helpful. If I can talk today, I hope these are helpful for you guys. I know the problem. I need a sip of Celsius. Maybe that's what it is. I bet you I can talk now. So we're talking about emotional regulation today. Awesome. Yes, of course. In my natural state. In my natural state. No makeup, no nothing. So this is what y'all get today. But yeah, so emotional regulation is what we're talking about today. And I hope that these are helpful. One thing that I like to talk about when it comes to emotional regulation before I even start with the affirmations is understanding why we use the language of regulation. So we use the language of emotional regulation versus like emotional control. Because a lot of times when we're trying to control our emotions, it's more of suppression. It's more of denial. It's more of pushing down versus regulation, which is maintaining, guiding, managing our emotions. And the last thing we want to do is control our emotions to the point where we're trying to suppress them, we're trying to ignore them or deny them, or not even give them space to evolve. And making sure that we're actually regulating, which is making sure that We, one, are aware of our emotions. We give our emotions space to process. And then when it comes to how we process them, giving ourselves the space to have healthy responses to those emotions versus it being very unhealthy and negative responses to those emotions. So that's the difference between emotional control and emotional regulation. We want to be regulators. We don't want to be controllers in all aspects of our lives, right? We don't want to control other people. We don't want to control, everything, even though in our senses we want to control, but technically we don't want to control any and everything, right? So we're going to talk about these 10 affirmations when it comes to emotional regulation. I hope these are helpful. I'm going to give you guys some like motivation and guidance on, each affirmation. So this is very interactive. Make sure to ask questions. If it, if it pertains to you, if it's something that you definitely identify with, let me know. I want to see that. As I go through each affirmation, go ahead and throw them in the chat so that way people can, if someone missed it or needs to catch it, feel free to go ahead and type those in. And we'll go ahead and get started if there's no questions before we get started. But the first one, let's go here. The first one, here we go. So the first one is, I am mindful of my emotional state and take steps to maintain balance. I am mindful of my emotional state and take steps to maintain balance, right? So it always starts with mindfulness. It always starts with awareness. Once you are mindful and aware of your emotional state, there's so much that you can do with that. You can do positive things with that knowledge, or you can do negative things with that knowledge. But it always starts with mindfulness and awareness. So the first affirmation, I am mindful of my emotional state and take steps to maintain balance. Okay? Number one. Number two, I have the power to calm and center myself in any situation. I have the power to calm and center myself in any situation. So it starts with mindfulness, right? So it starts with, I am mindful of my emotional state. Then it moves into, I have the power. So I'm mindful and I have the power, right? So remember that. Type it in the chat. Let's remember it. I am mindful and I have the power, right? So I am mindful of my emotional state and take steps to maintain balance. I have the power to calm and center myself in any situation. So once you know where your emotional state is, that then gives you power to respond differently. That gives you power to change the situation. That gives you power to make adjustments and to align yourself into your values and what you believe in, right? Versus the emotion controlling you, and versus the emotion giving you what you should do next, right? So I am mindful of my emotional state and take steps to maintain balance. I have the power to calm and center myself in any situation. Number three, I trust in my ability to regulate my emotions and choose healthy responses. I trust in my ability to regulate my emotions and choose healthy responses. So we start with, we are mindful. Then we have the power. Now we trust in our ability to respond differently, right? I am mindful, then I have the power, and then I trust in my ability to respond differently. So they're all linked together, right? So number three, I'll repeat that. I trust in my ability to regulate my emotions and choose healthy responses. We have the power and the ability to choose differently. We have the power and the ability to choose how we respond to certain situations. It is so dope to be here because I know in a year, for example, your life will be transformed like a supernova planting seeds. I love it. I definitely love it. Yeah, I mean, as we continue, we're all going to grow and get better. And as I grow, you guys can grow, right? Because everything that I learned on my side, I'm going to pass to y'all. I'm going to pass it off right away. Like I said, emotional regulation. There's the reason why we're talking about emotional regulation this week. It's something that I had to deal with, that I had to work through on my own. So by any means, all of what I learned will be passed off to you guys. Where were we at? I trust in my ability to regulate my emotions and choose healthy responses. So we have the ability to choose to respond in a healthy way. Is it easy to respond in a healthy way all the time? No. It's not. Sometimes it's easier to be unhealthy. It's easier to ghost. It's easier to walk away from situation. It's easier to shut down. It's easier to pop off on people. It's easier to do that. But if we want to change how we regulate, we have to adjust our responses to our emotional states. Okay. Yes, we definitely need it. Next one. I give myself permission to let go of painful situations and focus on what I learned. I give myself permission to let go of painful situations and focus on what I learned. So, when it comes to giving ourselves permission to let go, that's most important because of the simple fact that we hold on to things because of the fact that we feel like we let them go. We're giving the person or the situation a pass. And that's not the case. If we let something go, it's not that we're giving somebody a pass. It's not that we're giving a situation a pass. We know that the situation was hurtful. We know that that person hurt you. We know that it was painful. We know that it was frustrating. We know that it was confusing. We know that it just kind of sets you back, emotionally. We understand all of that. But letting it go gives yourself space to process your emotions. And it also gives yourself space to understand what you can learn from those situations. When we don't let things go, we tend to subconsciously circulate those same situations, and we end up finding ourselves in that situation over and over and over and over and over again, and then wonder why we're continuously triggered by those types of situations. So the more that we give ourselves permission to let those things go, the easier it is for us to have space to process the emotions that we're feeling. And then it allows us to learn from that particular situation so we don't find ourselves there again. But even if we do find ourselves there again, we know what to do this time instead of repeating the cycle. It also puts us in a situation where, like, if we don't allow ourselves to let those things go, when those situations pop up, we're triggered. So we're not just dealing with the emotion of that situation, we're dealing with the emotion of that situation and what it triggered. So we're dealing with that situation plus the scenario that happened a year ago, and then the other scenario that happened 2 years before that, and then the scenario that happened 5 years before that. So that way, when you get to this scenario, the situation that you're actually dealing with, you're dealing with heightened emotions, not just from the situation, but from every last previous situation. And then we wonder why we pop off. Then we wonder why we pop off and wonder why we get upset and why we get frustrated and when we go in these temper tantrums and we get angry. I even had a client, he would say, sometimes I just like punch walls and I just get so frustrated. And I would talk to him like, why do you think that you're getting that angry? It's not because of that situation. It's because that situation even though it may have been bad in its own right, it's because it's triggering all of these other situations that we haven't healed from. So that's what creates the heightened emotional state. That's why it's hard to regulate it. So once we understand that, and once we take control of the fact that we can let go of those painful situations, the more will be triggered. It's just going to keep happening until we take the time to evolve and let those things go and grieve those situations, grieve those relationships, and grieve those scenarios. So I know I went through a lot, but if you have any questions, definitely drop them in the chat. I give myself permission to let go of painful situations and focus on what I learned. Number 5, I treat myself and others with kindness, even in difficult moments. I treat myself and others with kindness and in difficult moments. This is easier said than done, right? It's not easy to treat everyone with kindness. It's just not. Sometimes we feel like people don't deserve our kindness. I get it. But when we don't approach those situations with kindness, it adds to our emotional state, right? So it adds to our heightened emotional state. So have you ever been in a situation where it was a situation where it was very small, it was very minute, it was something that could have been handled with just a conversation, but it turned from it just being a small conversation to a big blown out angry exchange, and then things just kind of got into disarray and you don't even know what happened? Usually it's not because of the issue, it's because of how the issue was approached. So if the issue was approached differently, the outcome could have been positive. It may not have been positive, but it may not have been to where you got into the highest emotional state you could have got to. It would have been just like, hey, let's agree to disagree. We're gonna go ahead and walk away, and that's it. Fine, whatever. But it turned into like going back and forth, and it got blown up out of proportion. That's what I mean by making sure to approach everything with kindness. Even if it's not the easiest, at least by approaching it that way, it keeps your emotional state down. Again, we're not thinking about the other person, right? We're not thinking about what they're doing or how they're approaching it. We're thinking about ourselves, because the more you can approach things in a kind and a compassionate way, again, easier said than done, but the more you can approach it in a kind and a compassionate way, the easier it is for you to walk away in a stabilized emotional state. I hope that makes sense, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about what you can control. And all you can control is yourself. And all you can control or regulate is your emotions, right? So at the end of the day, they may approach it wild, they may approach it off the chain, but if you are able to get to a place where you're able to approach it with at least kindness and compassion, yes, sending hearts of agreement, yes. So as long as you're able to do it in a compassionate way, that keeps you sane. And at the end of the day, that's what's most important, is keeping yourself regulated to where you don't get heightened. And you may even be surprised. Your approach to it with kindness and compassion may calm them down, and it may bring them down, and it doesn't add fuel to the fire. Because if you come in with your emotions raw, it ain't going to end well. And then and that's what those types of situations mess up your day for the whole day, instead of it just being a small situation that you had to deal with for a couple of minutes. Okay. So where we're at, that was, I treat myself and others with kindness, even in difficult moments. Next one, I have the strength to transform negative emotions into positive action. I have the strength to transform negative emotions into positive action. Once you're able to take your negative emotions and find the positive, take your negative emotions, be able to find the silver lining, to find optimism in the midst of that, that's key. That's key to life, honestly. Whenever you're able to transform and take a negative and turn it into a positive, that is how you're going to be able to emotionally regulate. And it may be easier in some situations versus others, but practicing that and taking the time to really understand what your triggers are, so that way you can take the time to like really figure out how you can find the positive, even if it's something small. And that's how you practice. If it's something small that's, slight inconveniences, that you run into from day to day, that you can find a positive on, and continue to practice that and make it a conscious effort of yourself of trying to find the positive, even in situations that are just the toughest situations to be in. One of the things that I found that was a positive when it came to COVID is that it brought me and my family so much closer together. Like before COVID, we talked, but we didn't talk as often. Everybody got busy, everybody had things going on. And during COVID, like me and my sisters and my mom, even though I kind of talked to my mom like maybe every other day, we were talking every day. We all ended up getting like a like one of the Facebook, I think it's like one of those little devices back there. I don't know if you can see it. We got those devices where we can do video calls. For those you don't know, I live in Chicago. My family's in Philadelphia, or in the Philadelphia area. And then my other sister, she's in Maryland. So we don't get to see each other that often. And then especially during COVID, it was definitely hard to see each other. So now we talk every Sunday. We all get on a video call. We talk every Sunday for a couple of hours. We check in with each other, see how each other is doing. My mom, she does a prayer every Sunday now for the family and for all of the kids in the family and all of that. That was something we didn't do like before COVID. So even though COVID sucked and it was just a horrible situation and it was very inconvenient, it was very frustrating. People lost their lives. People lost their jobs during that time. My sister's in nursing, like she just was going through it. In spite of all of that negativity, it brought our family closer together. And that was something that I could find a positive to pull myself out of those very depressing and frustrating moments. So that's just an example of you just trying to think of, in these horrible scenarios, where can I find the silver lining? Where can I be optimistic? Where could I find a positive, or what can I learn? If there's no positive that you can actually find, which I think is rare, unless you're kind of talking about like, death and things of that matter, that I can understand there's no positive. But on the other hand, what can you learn? What can you learn about yourself? What can you learn about life? What can you get from those different situations that can catapult you into the next stage of life in a positive way? So thinking through all of those things to help you to regulate your emotions in regards to certain scenarios is how you'll be able to regulate. Again, easier said than done, but I hope that was helpful, at least to kind of give you an example. Next one. I trust that every emotion serves a purpose and is an opportunity for growth. I trust that every emotion serves a purpose and is an opportunity for growth. Every emotion does serve a purpose, even if we don't feel like it does. So, and the purpose that each emotion shows us or teaches us is that it does teach us. It shows us and teaches us about ourselves. It teaches us about life. It teaches us about the people around us. It teaches us about different situations and just how to navigate them. So changing our thought process and our mindset from my emotions are happening to me to my emotions are an experience, and I'm experiencing these emotions for a reason. Why? And if I'm experiencing them for a reason, and this is the reason why, what does that teach me about myself? What does that teach me about the people around me? What does that teach me about life? What wisdom does that give me? We did wisdom for our meditation this week. What wisdom does that bring me, or what wisdom does that give me? So shifting our mindsets from this emotion is happening to me, or I am this emotion, or I am angry, I am sad, I am confused, to I'm experiencing sadness, I'm experiencing confusion, I'm experiencing anger, and shifting to that, and then taking it even a step further to say, okay, this anger that I'm experiencing right now is teaching me this sadness that I'm experiencing right now is teaching me that, right? So if I find myself triggered often by a particular person or a particular situation or scenario, it's teaching me that this thing triggers me. Why does it trigger me? Right? So when we start thinking about our emotions in that regard, that is how we regulate, because now our emotions are our friend versus it being something that controls us, versus it being a dictator, right? So, because a lot of times we think of our emotions as a dictator, like, oh, I'm feeling this way, so I can't do this, or I'm feeling this way because it is. So now my whole day's messed up. Instead of it being my emotions are my friend, it shows me about myself and it shows me what I need to do and where I am in life. And shifting it to that makes all the difference as far as regulating the emotion. So, what was that? I trust that every emotion serves a purpose and is an opportunity for growth. Next one, I am resilient and I bounce back from emotional challenges with grace and ease. I am resilient and I bounce back from emotional challenges with grace and ease. So understanding that with that purpose, or you understanding that your emotions have a purpose, allows you to be more resilient. It allows you to be more emotionally resilient. You'll be able to bounce back quickly. You'll be able to adjust quickly. You'll be able to, take the time to and give yourself the space to navigate your emotions, so that way you can bounce back. A lot of times our recovery time sucks when it comes to our emotions. We spend so much time sitting in those emotions and not processing them, to the point where we're unable to bounce back quickly. Now, granted, there are situations where you have to grieve, right? And you have to go through an entire grieving process. That's not even when it comes to death. A lot of times you grieve situations, you grieve relationships, you grieve, jobs if you get laid off. Like, you just grieve a lot more than what you think. You grieve more than just when someone passes away. So sometimes when you grieve, you have to go through that whole process, and that process may take a little bit longer. But there are a lot of situations where we sit in that emotion so long, or we refuse to move past the situation. I don't know if you, and maybe it's just me, sometimes you choose to be angry. Sometimes you choose to be frustrated and you want to stay in that frustration. Sometimes your unforgiveness is punishment to the other person. Since you can't punish them any other way, your unforgiveness turns into your punishment to them, which your forgiveness then turns into resentment and bitterness. And then you just sit in that for years. Have you ever seen like the bitter old ladies sometimes? They just be old and just be angry and mean and surly. That's what I'm talking about. So interesting, because in Spanish you say I'm feeling by saying estoy. I'm temporary feeling feliz. Instead of putting soy feliz, I am happy. Other cultures get it. Words can mean a lot. They can mean a lot. You definitely have to, and I'm sure in other cultures it's definitely like slightly different as far as like how the terminology is used. But and then with English is just a weird language. Some things mean double things, and then different spellings mean yeah. I get it. It can definitely be confusing. Awesome. All right, next one. We have two more. I embrace emotional vulnerability as a source of strength and connection with others. I embrace emotional vulnerability as a source of strength and connection with others. So understanding that when it comes to emotional vulnerability, that is definitely more so strength than a weakness. Sometimes we think of it as it being a very weak state of being when you're vulnerable with other people in regards to your emotions, or even vulnerable with yourself. Sometimes sitting in emotions by yourself can be intimidating. It can make you anxious. It could be frustrating. It could create more heightened emotions because of the fact that you don't want to sit in that emotion. So just taking the time to embrace your emotional vulnerability as a source of strength. Embrace it with curiosity instead of it being more so of judgment, and understanding it's how you connect with others. The more you can emotionally regulate and the more vulnerable you can be, the better your connections will be. And understanding as you regulate your emotions, it's the more you regulate your emotions, the more open other people will be to you when it comes to talking through emotions and feelings and all of that stuff, which again makes for better connections. You don't want your regulation or control of your emotions to turn into you being super guarded, or to turn into you being standoffish, or being resentful, or bitter, or anything along those lines. So embrace emotional vulnerability as a source of strength and connection with others. And last but not least, I trust that my emotions are messengers guiding me towards a greater understanding. I trust that my emotions are messengers guiding me toward a greater understanding. So, once kind of going back to, I trust that every emotion serves a purpose. When you understand that your emotion is your messenger, it's showing you who you are and what the situations are around you, the people all around you. It's showing you all of those things. So just take the time to listen to what your emotions are telling you. Now, can your feelings and emotions sometimes lie to you? Yes, because of our perceptions, right? So if we perceive something to be a certain way, it can lie to you. It can show you something that is not necessarily the truth. So when you are going off of your emotions and trying to learn from your emotions, dig deep into it. Don't look on the surface. Sometimes you may get, so say like if you get someone that comes into a room, and every time they come in a room you get really anxious, right? Now you could take that anxiousness as being, oh, I don't want that person around me, that person's mean, or that person's this, or that person's that. May not necessarily be the case. Your anxiousness could be intimidation. Your anxiousness could be imposter syndrome. That person may exhibit qualities that you want in life, and because those are qualities that you want, they bring you anxiety when they come around you. So when you exhibit these emotions, really be honest with yourself and understand why you're having those emotions. Because if you just go off of the surface and maybe, oh well, I just don't like them and that's why, and I don't want them around me. Or it could just be that we're jealous just a little bit. We're jealous a little bit. And that's why we get anxiety when that person comes around us. So can I take that jealousy into positivity and say, hey, if they have the ability to be what I want, then that means I can get there. And maybe that's someone that I can connect with, and maybe that's someone that can mentor me. Maybe that's someone that can help me through the process. So take the time to really examine and be honest with yourself about your emotions and why you feel certain ways, outside of what's on the surface, because sometimes what's on the surface can mislead us. Okay. So I hope these are helpful. I went through 10 affirmations. I'll run back through them just in case anybody missed anything. And then we'll wrap up for the night. First one was I am mindful of my emotional state and take steps to maintain balance. Two was I have the power to calm and center myself in any situation. Three was I trust in my ability to regulate my emotions and choose healthy responses. Four is I give myself permission to let go of painful situations and focus on what I learned. Five is I treat myself and others with kindness, even in difficult moments. Six, I have the strength to transform negative emotions into positive action. Seven, I trust that every emotion serves a purpose and is an opportunity for growth. That was 7. Number 8, I am resilient and I bounce back from emotional challenges with grace and ease. 9, I embrace emotional vulnerability as a source of strength and connection with others. And 10 is I trust that my emotions are messengers guiding me towards a greater understanding. So I hope that these were helpful. Again, make sure to like the video and share if you have anyone that you feel will benefit from this video. I always send these out after lives, usually the next day or the following day. So if you want to get a full copy, make sure to subscribe at haveninspired.com. That way you get all of our emails. And yeah, look out for the next meditation will be posted on Sunday. Don't know what it's going to be on yet. Not sure. If you have Instagram, check me out and follow me on Instagram. And yeah, if there's any classes, the next class is I want to say next Friday. Yeah, the next class is next Friday. So you can also send, oh, awesome. You sent the attachment. Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, I'll definitely repost it. And thank you so much for sending your poster. Kiki sent a picture of her poster from last week's affirmations and how she's using her affirmations. So definitely feel free to send me whatever. I want to see it. However you are setting up your affirmations, whether you're writing them in your journal, if you're posting them on your mirror, if you're making a poster like Kiki's been doing. Yeah, I would love to see how you guys are doing that. If you're looking to do the meditation and journaling class, the next one is next Friday at 7:30 Central Standard Time. So feel free to sign up. Feel free to sign up at haveninspired.com. Those classes are virtual. I have a few classes in town this week. So if you're in the Chicago area, feel free to check out the website. And yeah, that's it. I hope all is well. We'll be doing this again next week at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Hopefully, I might try to do this on my laptop next week to see if this works better. But for some reason, it was not letting me on my phone. So here we are. I hope all is well. I didn't invest all arts and crafts with it. It's okay. We have to start somewhere. If it's given basic, that is perfectly okay. Make sure to, if you want to make sure that they're colorful and take your time and craft it, go to Five Below, go to Hobby Lobby or something and get some stuff and make it up. I've changed mine. I've been just typing mine and printing it out. I'm putting it on my wall because I have affirmations in my bathroom wall, and I have like my personal statement because I have a personal statement that I say in the morning, and I have my scriptures whatever scriptures I'm studying for the week, I have it up on my wall. So however you want to do it, however it makes the most sense for you and whatever makes most sense for your actual schedule. I like to do it early, like when I wash my face is when I do my affirmations, because I'm already looking in the mirror. I'm already just trying to get all of my facial scrubs and all that other stuff. So while I'm doing that and brushing my teeth is usually when I do my affirmations. So Okay, I'm glad that you love it. Definitely invite others out and share and like and all of that as we build it up here. And yes, yes, definitely. As much affirmation, scriptures, motivational quotes, whatever you feel that you need. And then I always start with a certain song in the morning. I'm very mindful with how I wake up in the morning and what I'm listening to, paying attention to your alarm. If your alarm is makes you anxious, change it. If your alarm, like some people need the really loud alarms to wake you up, but if you need if you can always do the more gentler alarms that are loud to wake you up. So just being very mindful of how you start your morning. Start your morning with gratitude, affirmations, good positive music, something that's going to actually like get you like going. You know what I mean? So oh, thank you, Kiki, for the super thanks. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. But yeah, so definitely start your mornings in some sort of affirmative, um, gratitude, and positivity. If you can get yourself in the habit of starting your mornings the same way with that type of positivity every morning, and you do it for a good solid 2 weeks, like definitely like take a notice of how your days go. Not to say you won't have a bad day, because bad days still happen, but even how you navigate that bad day as will be different the more you have a morning routine. So definitely check it out. I hope all is well. Many blessings to all of you and your families. Until next time, I will see you all soon.